Welcome to the Viewing Your Data video. This video takes you on a whirlwind tour of the CompuwareUEM APM portal. We'll start by exploring the portal using the data from the sample applications that were described in the earlier videos. So let's get started by logging into the CompuwareUEM APM portal. The link to this portal was provided in your activation email. This is the login screen for the APM portal. I'll just log in with my credentials. Now that I've logged into the APM portal, you can see a row of drop-downs across the top of the screen. The leftmost drop-down is the application drop-down, and it shows a list of the applications into which I've compiled one of the CompuwareUEM Mobile ADKs. The middle drop-down shows the list of mobile platforms on which those applications have run, and the time period drop-down allows you to choose between one of a set of 4 different time periods for which to display your data. We're going to choose yesterday because yesterday was when I was doing all the testing with my mobile apps. You can see that the APM portal is organized as a series of tabs, with the leftmost one being titled Summary. Let's go through those tabs in order and examine the kind of information we can get out of them. We'll start with the Summary tab. The Application Summary tab provides an at-a-glance view of the experience your users are getting while using your mobile applications. The tab is divided into 4 sections. The topmost section is Performance, followed by Availability, Analytics, and Event Tracking. The Performance section is focused on response times. These are the aggregate response times experienced by users of your mobile application. As you can see, there are maximum, average, and minimum response time lines. The legends are clickable, allowing you to focus on particular lines of interest. Also, if you hover the mouse over particular data points on the lines, you can see what the response times were at those times. The Availability section is a measure of how robust your application is in the field, as measured by the number of crashes experienced by users. It also provides you with information about the errors that you reported using the Report Error API call inside the application code. The Mobile ADK uses the concept of a session to indicate whenever a user starts using your application or returns to using it. That session is used to compute the availability index that you see on the screen from the number of successful sessions and the number of sessions that terminated with a crash. This chart shows availability, errors, and crashes. Availability is shown as a bar chart, with taller bars being better. Errors and crashes are shown as lines. As before, you can hover the mouse over any point in the chart to see more information about that point, and the legends are clickable. As you can see, I've removed the error line from this chart so that you can clearly see the impact of crashes on the overall application availability. If this was a real application in the field, I expect that my users would have a very poor perception because of the number of crashes they've experienced. The Analytics section shows you the number of users who have been using my application, as well as the number of different times they used them. So in this case, there have been 7 users with a total of 29 sessions between them. There are separate lines for sessions and for users. And as you can see, you can hover over the lines to look at the particular values of data points, and as before, the legends are clickable. The Event Tracking section shows counts of the report values and report events that you coded into your application. Again, you can click on the legends, and you can hover over the bars to see the values at those points. Now let's move on to the Performance tab to examine our response times in more detail. The Performance tab shows you the same chart that you saw in the Performance section of the Summary tab. In addition, you also have a table showing you all of the actions that you coded into your application. You can see average response times on Android and iOS, as well as an aggregate average response time across both mobile platforms. You can also see that there is a count of the number of times the actions were executed. In addition to the actions that you coded, there is also the App Start action, which is built in and tells you how long the application took to start. Now let's look at the Availability tab. As you can see, the Availability tab reproduces the chart from the Availability section on the Summary tab. You can also see that there are two tabbed tables at the bottom of the display. As a side note, you can see from the tooltip on the screen just how the availability percentage is calculated. The Crash Details table shows you the list of all the different kinds of crashes encountered by your application. These were collected automatically by the Mobile ADK. You can see the breakdown of crashes between Android and iOS, and you can also see how many users were affected by those crashes. The Error Details table shows you all of the errors that you reported from the application using the Report Error API. As with crashes, you can see the breakdown of errors by operating system, and also you can see a count of the affected users. Note that in addition to seeing the name of the error, you can also see the error number that you passed along on the Report Error API call. You can filter the errors by one particular mobile platform by using the drop-down at the top of the screen to pick the platform that you're interested in. Here I have chosen Android. Now let's move on to the Analytics tab. As you might have expected by now, the Analytics tab reproduces the chart from the Analytics section of the Summary tab. In addition to the chart, there are two tables at the bottom of the display. The Demographics table contains a series of pie charts that help you understand the makeup of your user population. As you might recall, I selected Android from the mobile platform list, so the Users by Platform pie chart shows 100% Android. Users by region is a breakdown by country. All of my work has been done in the United States, which is why this pie chart also shows 100% United States. As you move the mouse around, you can see the breakdown of network protocols being used by the phones to communicate, as well as a breakdown by carrier. Users interact with applications for different lengths of time. The session length distribution table shows a breakdown of user sessions into different time buckets, showing you how long users were engaged by the application. You can see that few of my interactions lasted more than a minute. Now let's move on to the Event Tracking tab. In addition to the usual chart, the Event Tracking tab shows an Event Tracking Details table. Of the 36 Android events shown on this chart, 24 are report values and 12 are report events. As you look through the table, you can see how much I spent in the shopping cart in the sample application, as well as see the highly original coupon codes that I used. Let's switch back to showing data from both mobile platforms. You can see the distribution of the values and events between the two platforms and how many users reported them. Note that this table is scrollable, so you can scroll through it if you want to look for a particular report value or report event. The column headings in the table are clickable, so that you can sort by the contents of whatever column you choose to click upon. This concludes our whirlwind tour of the APM portal.